I'm going to assume you have heard of Felix Pastorius, but just in case you haven't, this was his dad. Yeah, his dad was Jaco Pastorius. How cool! Well, let's not take anything away from Felix. He is one of the most virtuosic bass players that has ever existed, and to get to that skill level, he has worked his ass off. Amazingly, I was lucky enough to hang out with Felix for a full day over in New York and film a bunch of stuff, but in this specific lesson I want to share with you today, he's talking about the stuff that makes the real difference practicing. Now there's a bunch of stuff in here I want you to listen out for, but there is 4 things specifically to check out. First of all, his approach to practicing in general. Secondly, why and how he views scales in groupings of 3. Third up is the different interval approaches he used when practicing scales, and an awesome technique that's going to help you stay away from the roots when you're soloing, because bass players, we always gravitate to the root, right? Take a solo, root. This cool technique is going to show you is going to stop you doing that. Okay, let's go to New York.
It's not very hard. I mean, it's built into us also. It's very internal music. I mean, we're surrounded by music constantly. We're surrounded by harmony constantly. People can pretty much pick out a major scale, even if you've never played music. They can hear it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So for me, it was just bringing that onto the instrument and figuring out and trying to pull it apart, trying to get inside and make it interesting and keep it fresh.
And was there any particular, when you were learning the modes, was there any particular, did you use to type C Ionian?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for me though, like everything was always based on like 3 notes. I'm very symmetrical. I love symmetry in music.
So 3 notes per string.
Yeah. So for me it was always right, if I was a 4-string, right? And I would play all the way up to the 5 above 5, right?
Yeah.
Or the 12, or however you want to think of it. And from there, I would practice like groupings.
Yeah.
All the standard stuff.
Yeah.
Thirds, sixes. Yeah. Arpeggios, alternating.
That was arpeggios within that specific
mode. Within that,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So let me break that down for you, okay? Felix is taking a major scale and playing 3 notes a string. So in this scenario, let's take a C major, right? I'm going to keep away from this top string because it's a high C string, super fancy. So he's taken a C major scale and then he's doing what's called broken exercises. So broken thirds, broken fourths, broken fifths, which sound like this. Broken fourths. Broken fifths. Sixths. Now something else he mentioned was using the arpeggios within the major scale. First is a major 7, then a minor 7, a minor 7, a major 7, a dominant 7, a minor 7, a minor 7 flat 5, and then a major 7. When you raise the tempo of that a little bit and join it all together, you get this really great vibe. You can play up one and down the other as well. That sounds like this. So suddenly you go from just having a linear major scale to suddenly having all of these options inside the major scale, which sounds way more cool, way more musical, and just tons more options.
And then eventually it was all about, obviously going through the modes, but then it was also about trying to think of it, and like I'm constantly trying to take one attribute of what it is that I'm doing and shift it. So like if I did that, and so I'm thinking of this as 3 notes per string, right?
Yeah.
So if I was playing 2 notes per string, right?
Yeah.
Or 4 notes per string.
Yeah.
So I can get to certain anchor points within, across 4 strings.
Yeah.
Or
so
now 6 strings.
you learned the modes and then learned how to expand them in different ways across the fingerboard.
Right. And always changing a variable,
And did you do that with each mode? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you did
and all the scales too, harmonic major, harmonic minor, melodic minor. And same
and all the modes within those scales.
That's right.
Did you hear what you just said there? Just check that out again. And did you do that with each mode? Yeah.
Absolutely. And all the scales too, harmonic major, harmonic minor, melodic minor.
And all the modes within those scales.
That's right.
He did all of the scales, all of the arpeggios, all of the keys, all of the modes. If I could give my younger self one bit of advice, it would be stop looking for shortcuts and just do the work. It's so easy to spend as much time looking for shortcuts as it is just to do the work. So just do the work. So, quick question: did you, when you were practicing your modes, did you do it in order which they exist within that diatonic key? So, like C major, D Dorian, E, or did you C major, C Dorian, C Phrygian?
Both.
Yeah.
Playing through songs, maybe doing that also, obviously, also association. For me, it's also a huge part of it is association, like what you're thinking about also as you're practicing it, Because the C major, think of it in terms of what the other modes are around it, because obviously you can play C major over G7 or D minor or F major 7 sharp 11, right?
Yeah. So any of the chords within C major.
So if you're thinking A minor but you're playing C major, get that whole thing going in your mind too, so you can start separating.
Okay, so let me break that down for you, because this is a super ninja trick that is going to help you stay away from the roots when you're playing a cool solo or a lick or something like that. Let's take a C major tonality. Okay, so there we've got a C major tonality, and as bass players, hey, bass player, take a solo. We're always gonna hit that root first of all, just as Felix said. Okay, so this really great trick, exactly what Felix was talking about, is you think a third up from the root of the tonality you're playing over. So this tonality is C major. Okay, the third of C is an E. Okay, and on that E you play the opposite of the tonality that you're playing over. So this is a C major tonality. The opposite of a major is a minor. Okay, so we play an E minor tonality. It keeps us away from the root. Now we can do the same for minors as well. So let's say we've got a C minor tonality. Now we do the same thing. We find the third of the C minor, which is E flat, and we play the opposite of minor, which is major. Okay, so we play a E flat major 7 arpeggio, which sounds like this. And again, it just keeps us away from the roots. Except we won't want to play them.
Because not the worst thing, I mean, many musicians on every instrument do it, and it's not just bassists, but it's funny that bassists, we'll be supporting a band for, let's say all night before they get a bass solo, right?
Yeah.
And they're supporting a band, and the last tune, it might be something where let's say it's fairly simple music, and you're just in E, right? And then they finally point to you, the bassist, and they say, "Go, your time to solo." The first note a bassist plays, almost always, is the root. Almost always, every single time. And it's not just bassists; all instruments, instrumentalists do that. So for me, it's also just trying to associate things to the chord of that moment and thinking in thirds or sixes as extensions of where you are as a root. Because we are root players. So how do you, and if you're constantly thinking root, separation, right?
Yeah, have that almost separate mind where you think, okay, this is it, but whatever you do,
just don't hit the root.
Yeah, hit anything
other than the root.
Don't hit the root. Yeah. Now you may have been thinking throughout this video, who was that guy on the left of Felix, the cool-looking dude with the Arnold Schwarzenegger T-shirt from Total Recall? That, my friends, is Mike Bendy, and he is a monstrous bass player. Check this out. Thanks so much for checking out this video. If you're an Academy member, you can check out the full 1.5 hour episode of that, where you can see Mike and Felix breaking down how they do what they do. If you are not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so down below and turn your notifications on. And if you want to find out more about what I do and my team, go to scottsbasslessons.com and check it out. It is the ultimate online bass school for bass players such as yourselves that want to get their bass playing to the next level. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Take it easy. I'll see you in the shed.